is life, your body is here. You had a mouthful of those love affairs.
Good day, good night to all. Welcome back. CFR Network, CFR News. I have a wonderful guest, Feminine Energy, a familiar friend to the listeners, the one and only Monica Perez. How art thou, young lady?
Fantastic. Thank you. And I love your new avatar.
Oh, you haven't seen
I
it.
haven't seen your new avatar.
Yes, I'll, try my best, digitally to up my game, as they say.
Well, considering that you have created all of my avatars, if you ever look at my social media, there's like 3 different images that you have created. So maybe I get a fresh one today.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Watch this space. Watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. But it's been time flies, blinking you miss it. Now that we're talking, it just feels like it was yesterday, Monica, that we had our last conversation.
Yes. And it was
And
a year ago.
yes, indeed, indeed. So we're rapidly approaching the end of the Gregorian year of 2024, rolling into 2025. I thought it would be a good barometer of sorts to encapsulate some big events for yourself. Like, what were some major things that happened headline wise, maybe locally, internationally, whatever, that you thought, actually, that's big news, that is. Maybe he didn't get the coverage, maybe he did get the coverage. So and we can bounce that across. I've got a few bits and pieces, so yes.
Well, for me, the biggest thing was actually the most recent thing. And I know everybody weighs more heavily the stuff in the recent past, but this thing was devastating to me personally. I had a lot of history caught up in it. The fall of Syria to me is an epoch-ending event, that it is the oldest city in continuous existence on Earth is no longer in the hands of the Syrian people. And I don't know if it's been out of the hands, but it was in the hands of Syrian people, and they weren't going into museums and smashing figurines and stuff like
No.
when the empire invaded Iraq, and that's the first thing they did. And I was devastated also of Syrian descent. So I've always felt an affinity there. I always wanted to go there. And I've been following this for 10 years and I've been trying to defend Assad like he's not a monster. When you're under sanctions, you're probably not going to have the best circumstances to live in, but he didn't do the
Indeed.
things they said. It was an absolute violation of sovereignty to invade him. The empire has been trying to destroy Syria for 10 years, could not get the permission of the American people, and now it's just done. That's the big
Now,
one.
yes, and it's major, and it's in the headlines. Pardon self, it's definitely in the headlines, but the
It's
lens
been
which
pushed out a little bit here because of this like assassination of the healthcare CEO,
uh,
which got
well,
round the clock coverage for 10 days straight. I'm like, I really have a feeling this is to obscure the Syria
yes,
story.
indeed. But the lens with your brief overview is not what's being told on the mainstream. He's killing his own people. He's gassing them. His wife, she's culpable as well. You want to hear some of these? I guess you would call them right wing over here. They're doing 3 hour podcasts, Monica, talking about the terrible regime, and now the Syrian people are going to be free. They're going to be free now, Monica. They're going to have a
It's
chance to, live a Western life, to pollute their minds and their bodies with all of the stuff that we've got. That's ultimately what they're talking about. Corporatizations of places which had systems in place, which, nothing's perfect. But that's why we have West and we have East and we have the quote unquote Middle East.
yeah. Yeah. Well, they're what they say against him. Like I can take each one at a time, and I always have. Like the chemical weapons attack. I personally have footage from Fox News here that shows the stockpile of chemical weapons in a cave covered in saran wrap with the names Qatar and Germany on the side. Like, that's
Yeah.
not Assad's stockpile. Rebels had to go to the hospital because they touched it. It's completely didn't happen. The UN had to admit it didn't happen. It was not him. And why would it be him? This idea that there was an uprising against him, an organic thing, that Arab Spring thing that we
Yeah.
of course, perpetuated. And he immediately in 2012 instituted a new constitution that looks like the UN wrote it. I mean, it was absolutely, he acknowledges Islam as the foundational principles of the country. But other than that, I mean, it's all about women have equal rights and
Yeah.
people will have representation. It's as good a constitution as any. I mean, it guarantees health care, like all the stuff that they want us to do. So the idea that of all people, this Alawite is probably the best thing for such a diverse community. My grandmother was Christian. There's just so many different sects there. It's probably your best bet. And the thing that they always say for us is they say, well, he has all these political prisoners and he doesn't give them due process and civil rights. So we have to remove this leader. They say that in every Arab country. And then what they do is what they did this time too. Egypt, they always do it. They open all the prison doors. They let all the prisoners out. They are terrorists. They are terrorists. They're probably our terrorists. We probably trained them. We did that with the Mujahideen and Osama bin Laden. All that stuff was ours. We've admitted it's in the congressional record. Charlie Wilson's war. Hillary Clinton has said it.
Yes.
So they open the prisons. They spread terrorism like wildfire by doing this. Then those guys come over here. They hate us, right? And then we are told the Constitution is outdated. We can't have the Bill of Rights. The founders didn't think about terrorists.
Yeah.
So now we put people in jail without due process or civil rights. I'm like, why don't you just let them take care of their own business? Thank you. And Assad even said, just like Gaddafi said about Africa and Assad said towards Europe, après moi le déluge. You're going to get, you take me out. I'm keeping them out of Europe. And you know what? The people in Europe, the leaders in Europe, they don't want that. They want the chaos. They want the hate.
Exactly. Yes. The division, the separation. Now look at those rather than looking at the powers that should have never have been, the governmental system. It's look at these brown people coming over there, they're taking our jobs. And then we get, no, let's not gloss over it, because with the good lots of people that are coming over from these war-torn countries, there are a lot of good people who want to work, who just want to exist. But then obviously you've got criminals, you've got bandits and all the rest of it. And the media has a wonderful knack of highlighting the worst, the minority of the worst of every kind of dynamic that we can find, and then paints it as it's the majority. And of course, we know that there's wonderful immigrants. Some of them can't speak a lick of English, but they're hard workers. They're diligent. You know, they're paying into the system.
Standard of living because they do the work that you don't want to do. But they have a different conception of rights also, though. So if you're going to import Muslims, they are going to bring, they don't have the history of the Magna Carta and the Constitution. They don't have that. They have a totally different thing, a more authoritarian thing. And I have long felt that it's that nexus. That's the 21st century dialectic that they're going for. They want to take the West and they want to combine it with a moralistic authoritarian system that's secular.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the syncretism or whatever. That's the synthesis.
Yes, synthesis. Yes, indeed.
And that would be for that. But they also want to level those countries just to just straight greed and corruption. And, they just want to level those countries and build. Like Halliburton is a building company, construction company.
Come on. Lockheed Martin. Yeah. It's profit, it's war, it's rewriting history. The greater Israel. I heard sort of mutterings of that, but now I'm actually seeing maps of the planned expansion, and I'm thinking, when I thought of Greater Israel, I'm thinking of like a maybe more of an esoteric, like Israel's there, obviously being propped up by the brains of the beast where I am, the UK, and the belly of the beast where you are, the United States of America, and all
Hmm.
of the other countries that are behind them like little lapdogs. But I'm thinking that's the greater Israel, the power and control that they have outside of Israel. No, no, no. They're talking about removing all of those, the Saudi Arabia, Egypt. They want it all. No,
Yeah.
you have to scratch your heads. Christians, especially in America, um, in the Bible, like if we are saying, and I'm saying we loosely, we're saying that these are God's chosen people. This isn't what's supposed to be happening. If we're going biblically, God or Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, he's supposed to come down and he will institute heaven on earth and reestablish the kingdom of Israel. That's the only way that will happen. Now, we know what's
But
happened.
that's like a second coming of a Messiah that they don't even recognize yet.
Well, of course. Well, they've got their own Messiah that they're wanting to come in,
I've
haven't they?
heard about that. Yeah, I've heard about that. But that's the thing, that's the fundamental issue that I is so weird about. I don't know how it is there, but in the US, there's the evangelicals, there's a lot of
Yeah,
Protestants who feel a close affinity to Israel, and I
yeah.
just don't understand it. I mean, they should be trying to convert them, right? They're evangelicals. They should be trying to convert people who don't recognize Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. That's the mantra here. Like they think Catholics are bad because they don't
I
say that.
know. Yes. It's cognitive dissonances because they know they in their eyes they read the Old Testament and the Old Testament is talking nothing but the house of Israel, Jacob, and his trials. He then changed his name.
Yeah.
The Most High changed his name to Israel, and then those 12 sons, and it's all about their trials, their tribulations, them being disobedient, them falling and tripping, and that's the whole thing. And they're like, okay, well, that's the foundation of our doctrine. We more lean to the New Testament, but
Yes.
those are the people. Those are
Yeah.
the people from the loins who came forth Jesus. So we can't, we'll stand by them. Of course, you've got your Messianic Jews who do accept Yeshua,
Yeah.
Jesus, but they're far and few between, unfortunately. They're not
Yeah.
um, Hasidic, the Habads,
Although there are Orthodox Jews in New York who will say that the state of Israel is
oh
not
yes,
consistent with even their
Torah. Mm.
their the true Old Testament in their mind. But I think Jesus said that just forget all that. This is all you need. Didn't he
It's
say like the New
circ
Testament is you don't have to
circum.
go back? Yeah.
Well, basically, I think the line is, and pardon me if I'm not saying it verbatim, but it's circumcise the law on your hearts. So
Circumscribe.
circumscribe,
Circumscribe.
circumscribe. Sorry, see, pardon self. Yes,
A
yes.
little
Um,
comic relief.
most
Let
definitely.
me see
So
what it says.
if we look at it, if we take in the whole of that chapter and verse, then he's talking about, yes, there's Hebrews, there are Israelites who are very devout, they're going to the temple and they're doing this, but they're just doing it. They don't have it in their heart. It's not in their heart to do. They've got to pick the book up or pick the scrolls up and then be led by it. Whereas the modern sense, Joshua is saying, I didn't come to destroy the law. I came to fulfill it. So it's not necessarily forget all of the old laws. It's a case of it's supposed to be in your heart. You don't need to look at the
Yeah, it's a
book.
good one. Here, let me see what it says here. It says, so I never really studied the Bible like this. You go to Catholic church and
Indeed.
they read the passages they take
Yes.
one from the old, the new, you get the gospel. So you hear it, but somebody sent me a chronological Bible so you could just like
Mm,
anything that was out of order, it sticks it in order, which I can't even tell like it's like I said, I'm reading that, but it's super helpful. Anyway,
yes.
so this one that you're saying, Romans 2:15, I think it says, indeed, when Gentiles who do not have the law do by nature what the law requires. They are a law to themselves, even though they do not have the law. So they show that the work of the law is written on their hearts, their
Yes.
consciences also bearing witness, and their thoughts either accusing or defending them on the day when God will judge men's secrets through Jesus Christ, as proclaimed by my gospel. And then it cuts off. But
Yes.
so that folds right in with by their deeds they will know them, that you will know them,
Exactly.
which is what I think about Assad. So Assad wrote a statement which is getting no coverage here, but he wrote a like 3-paragraph statement saying, I didn't freak, I'm not a rat, like you are one of the UK statesmen,
Yeah.
legislator, like a foreign minister, somebody who should know better and shouldn't resort to this pettiness, called him the rat of Damascus, which is fucking awful.
I
That guy
know.
stood by that for 10 years.
Yeah.
10, 12 years. He was an ophthalmologist from England. He cut, you know what? Can you imagine the
Exactly.
red carpet that they offered him, that
Mm.
bridge? It would have been like the devil on the mountaintop, like, I'll offer you whatever you want. And he's like, nah, I'm good. No
Yeah.
way was that guy. You know what I mean? And they threatened, I mean, obviously they were going to scalp him like they did
Yes.
Gaddafi, like, and he stayed. So if you read his statement, he said, I stayed till the last outpost was abandoned. Like I stayed past the army. Like I stayed until it was done. And there was no reason to, to stay beyond that. And I will continue to fight from here.
Yeah.
And his statement was totally consistent with what I thought happened,
Mm.
basically, and his explanation was totally consistent with what I had thought about him, having observed him for 10 or 12
Yes.
years. So
Exactly.
that by his deeds, man.
Not by the words,
Mm-mm.
by the deeds, your actions. It's they're throwing so much stuff at us, at the moment. It's hard to keep someone, just your normal person who's not necessarily researching or maybe listen to a few podcasts and stuff here and there. They just got their head in the clouds. They're just paying bills, trying to enjoy themselves as much as possible. They have no clue of the implications of what's taking place. That state of Israel have been slaughtering children and for over a year now.
Yeah.
The USA, the UK, Germany, we're all giving them weapons. We're giving them money. We've got homeless people in the UK. We've got homeless people in America.
Yeah.
We've got drugs. We've got all kind of woes.
Obama and Trump dropped 30,000 bombs a year on Syria, by the way.
Yeah. I was
But
just
that
going
was
to
the
go there.
US. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not trying to scoop you, but like that was
No.
the US.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our money. So somebody reprimanded me for saying us. We did this. I'm never saying it again. The empire. I got nothing to do with it. I'm never
Oh,
voting again.
yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like it's legitimate. No,
It's not
screw you. I have
legitimate. Yeah.
nothing to do with it. I live here and I earn it.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I'm just done with
Well,
it.
unfortunately, they're zapping our energy's life force from us in exchange for fiat currency and then stealing it from us in the form of taxation and then giving it to this person, giving it to Ukraine, giving it to like 2024. And we're talking about we've already had a World War. We're in a constant state of World War III since 9/11. Forget all this.
Yeah.
Oh,
And COVID was the way they killed people and stuff. That was
Yes.
chemical weapons. Those
Yes.
were chemical and biological weapons.
yes.
And they
100%.
called the population. They destroyed inventory. That's a big thing.
Business,
Like they
yes.
stopped the business and you could work out the inventory. It did everything. Just the report from Iron Mountain is called like on the possibility of peace, whatever. And it's about substitutes for war.
Yeah.
And this is one of them for sure. And they did it. And yes, I agree with you. We've been in constant war. And my uncle, who's a priest, he said before 9/11, he would say, the prophecy says that World War III will be started in the first year of the new millennium in Israel.
Ooh.
And he said that before. And then when 9/11 happened, I said, see, it was the second year. He said, no, 2001 is the first year.
First, yeah.
And I said, it wasn't Israel, it was New York. He was like, it was
Right. If
like,
you
oh, shit.
know, you know.
So we found out later. Yeah.
And what about Mr. What's his name? Larry Silverstein?
Oh my
Remember?
gosh. So we decided to pull it.
We did
Luckiest man alive.
so much.
Luckiest man who ever lived.
Yeah, so
because he
much
insured it like
devastation.
the week before,
Yes,
month before.
yes. And the fire officers, they said, there's going to be a lot of life. So we decided to pull the buildings. But I think, you know what though, Monica? I think we both dreamt that. I don't think we
Right.
saw it. I don't
It
think it's
just
actually
doesn't
real.
mean what you think it means.
Yeah, when he
People
says,
say stuff they don't mean. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, but this actually happened.
I think when he
You
said
know?
pull, that's like a fireman term for like try and put the fire out, maybe.
I know. I think it means demolition term for pull the thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
I
It's
know.
war after war. It's psychological attack after psychological attack. As I said, we're closely approaching 2025, and we're talking about we're still allowing this stuff to take place. There is an international arrest warrant, Monica, that is out for Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, yeah. But he's
Real,
also on trial in Israel
yeah.
for corruption. And he lost. I have to go back and make sure that I'm stating it correctly, but he kept losing the elections. There were 3 times that he
Yes,
was just not, and they
yes.
it's kept collapsing. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm thinking, he's not their choice. He's somebody else's. So when people say like it's Israel, 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 I don't like that because it's Netanyahu.
Mm,
And it's definitely the Israeli army. The
yeah,
soldiers are
IDF.
fodder.
Hmm.
Those guys aren't gonna benefit. I'm sure they die. I'm not saying
Yeah,
they let the October 7th thing happen or they did it as fucking hang gliders, please.
come
And
on.
they're killing so many people, but it's the people of Israel don't like him. And
No.
he's obviously working for someone else, or he wouldn't be the
In that
president or the prime
position,
minister ever. He wouldn't. It would not
yes.
be possible. Their
No.
system rejected him.
Hmm.
So it's somebody else. It's international bankers or whatever, but it's somebody else. And Blinken,